Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this AHDB webinar. My name is Richard Meredith. I am a knowledge exchange manager for AHDB in the west of England and Wales. I cover the cereals and oilseeds. This is one of a monthly webinar that the cereals and oilseeds sector operate, and as it's such a subject that applies to all farming businesses, we decided to roll it out to all sectors this month. I'll be chairing your webinar tonight. So just before we start, I'll talk a bit about the housekeeping. You're all muted, so don't panic, we can't hear you. Any questions you might have can be typed in a box at the right-hand side of your screen. There will be a formal question period at the end of the webinar, but as we go through, if you have any burning questions, comments, or queries for our speaker tonight, please feel free to type them in, and I'll stop them as we go through. We're aiming to finish around 8 p.m. And there will be the question session at the end of the webinar. So I won't eat up too much into the webinar time. The topic tonight is staff recruitment, retention, and motivation. It's a topic which is kind of quite close to most farming businesses' hearts. Labour is one of the most crucial assets which we have as businesses. Having a quality approach to how you recruit and manage that labour is crucial to how you operate as a business. Our tonight's speaker is Heather Wildman. Heather joins me tonight from Dumfries up in Scotland. I'm sat in the office at Stoneleigh. We're hoping technology is all going to go to plan tonight. We're sat FaceTiming each other at the same time, so I can give her a wave if anything's going wrong. Heather, I've known for a few years now. She used to be an extension officer in AHDB Dairy before branching out to herself to help farmers develop their entrepreneurial skills. And I've seen her working with groups of different farmers, and thought it'd be a great opportunity to get her to speak to us tonight. Heather, thank you very much for the effort which has gone into putting this webinar together. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you and leave you to it, and I'll try and ask some questions as we go through. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much, AHDB, for this opportunity. I have to say I'm a little bit excited and a little bit apprehensive. I've never done a webinar before, and it does feel a little surreal sitting here talking to a computer screen with an audience of one, which is a Jack Russell puppy. So please ignore any squeaky toys and things that she may bring in. So thank you as introduced. Today we're going to be talking about how to be the employer of choice, discussing some of the common mistakes made by employers, how to look at staff management and development, but most importantly, can we step it up and actually become a gold standard employer? So the issues of employment and recruitment is changing daily. We're looking at developing skills and motivating your team to achieve the results that are planned for your business. Also, we'll be discussing the true cost of replacing a member of staff, and how that could get broken down, and accounting for the loss of knowledge, the pressure that puts on existing people within the business, and then also how do you fill that staffing gap? Maybe it's an expansion within the business, not always people leaving. So how do we do recruiting, training, a replacement? And then I think this is one of the biggest ones for me, is as farm businesses grow in scale, we are looking for staff to take on more responsibility of the day-to-day work, and to delegate to staff and attracting staff that can manage to run the business and work with you to achieve the high caliber. How do we do this as well? And this is proving for a number of businesses quite a significant challenge. So for me, as an industry, we have to start and take the image that we are portraying as farmers seriously. How we act, the language we use, and the image people see. Can we honestly say that we're doing the best that can be done? Agriculture has a reputation for working long, hard hours for a reasonably low hourly rate. And is this sustainable? And is this how we want to be seen? We are in a competitive marketplace, and not just for our products that we sell, but also for the staff and labour that we want to work for us. People now have many, many options about where they go and choices of who and how they want to work. So, ladies and gentlemen, I challenge you, why should they choose to work for you? And how do you become that employer of choice? I firmly believe that if you are having staff recruitment and retention issues, and this isn't always popular, I think you do have to look in the mirror and be honest. What is that reflection that you see? Do you see, when you look in the mirror, someone who's buzzing, positive, motivated, they're passionate about their business and their industry? They clearly love what they are doing. You smile, you're cheery, and you have a spring in your step. Or is your reflection someone who is stressed, tired, angry, and quite frequently and often grumpy? Who would you rather work for? And I love this slide from the great Muhammad Ali. And for me, I think it's replicant of everything. When people and yourself truly believe in what you're doing, it shows, and it really pays. Winners in life are those who are excited about where they're going. So who is Saviour Associates? Thank you, Richard, for my introduction. You probably gathered I'm a Cumbrian by the accent, not from the northeast. Been deported to Scotland now for just under 20 years. And I've been really, really lucky with my careers. Worked for NatWest Bank to start off with, De Laval, some sales companies, went to the dark side as a salesperson. Then we moved to Scotland. I worked for the Royal Highland Education Trust, sold some minerals, worked for First Milk, and then worked alongside Richard at AHDB in the dairy sector. And in that career, I've had some amazing bosses who I would literally have walked on water for, because I knew they would do the same for me. They were able to see a spark in me and potential in me that I didn't know it was there, and to really nurture and grow and encourage and motivate me. And it was a joy. But I've also had the experience of working with challenging employers who quite honestly nearly broke me, who made me feel sad, depressed, angry, frustrated, and actually at some points even worth life is worth living. And I personally don't believe any employer or any employee should have to go through that. And it was through this that in 2012, I was really, really lucky to get a Nuffield Farming Scholarship. And Nuffield, people say that it's life-changing and everything, and it can get a bit, oh yeah, so what? But for me, it was completely life-changing and completely career-changing as well. My Nuffield was on communication, how to influence and motivate change, and have discussion groups have the day, because as Richard said, I was previously an extension officer. And I went traveling to Chile, Peru, Australia, Brazil, New Zealand, Tasmania, Canada and America, and Ireland and Wales. And I went to meet a whole heap of different people, from scientists, researchers, government, ranchers, computer programmers, researchers, I was in a high security prison in Penetanguishene in Canada as well. And it was an absolutely amazing, amazing experience. And from that, I actually started up my own business in 2014. And Saviour Associates, people ask me, what does the Saviour stand for? And be at ease. It is not a religious sermon you're going to be getting this evening. Saviour Associates come from saving asses and kicking asses. It's soft skills with a sledgehammer, and it's trying to influence and motivate positive change through businesses, through vision. Who are you? What are you? Where do you want to be? Developing a communication method that works for you, and then looking at collaboration and team building and helping people get to the goals of where they want to be. So that's a little bit about me. So back to the topic. I love Twitter, and in preparation for this, I did a little survey, and I asked a lot of the followers and Twitters out there, if I asked you about staff management motivation, what were your main concerns? What were you worried about? And quite high up came communication. And when I talk about staff management and motivation, this is not always about employees. Sometimes a lot of our farms and businesses have a lot of family members in there as well. And we also have a lot of business partners and contractors and suppliers and merchants and sprayers and different things as well. So for them, it came as communication was a real issue. Recruitment seemed to put the fear of God into people. How to get the right person, there wasn't the right people out there. Motivation was slightly less, and I was really intrigued that retention came very, very low. And I would challenge that we should focus more on attracting and retaining the best staff. Because what is the cost of replacing a member of staff? Now, you can argue the figures, you can argue the costs and everything, but I think the principle works. In that whoever you're replacing, it roughly costs twice their salary to replace them. By the time and the workload that your existing employees have to put in to cover that skill gap and that workplace gap. Because a lot of businesses I know are already, because of the volatility, cost control, possibly working a half labour unit less or even a full labour unit less than what they should be. So when a key member of staff leaves, it has significant pressure and workload to fill. Then there's the time and the money it costs to find a replacement. If any of you have looked at putting an advert in the Scottish Farmer, in the Farmers Weekly, in the Farmers Guardian, or wherever these big places are, you will know you will not get a lot of change for £1,000. And most people will need to put a couple of adverts in, so that does fairly add up. But then take in mind that time to go through all the applications, and depending on the skill set, you can have dozens and dozens, to then bring them all in for an interview. And most people take more than one interview. So that's a significant time and cost. But then there's the time to train and replace. And I get really frustrated with some of my clients on here when I say, so how long, what was your induction period? How long did it take to settle a new member of staff in? What do you mean, Heather? They've come highly recommended, they've got great skills, they don't need me to tell them what to do, I just sent them in. Error number one. Everybody, every one of you out there is completely unique and individual in how you farm your business. What is good to you and what is the right process and procedure could be completely different for somebody else. So please do not make assumptions that they know exactly what to do and how to do it. And it's also quite amazing the self-belief and enthusiasm some applications have in their ability and in their experience as well. I did have one advert I was filling for a dairy person, and this dairy person had to do quite a lot of tractor work and was working a lot with the stock and working a lot with heavy machinery. And this chap, I said, have you got experience of working with stock and have you got experience of working with machinery and tractors? He says, oh, yes, yes. I says, oh, can you tell me what you did? He says, oh, I cut the grass for Asda. So it's never ending to me, you know, the self-belief and confidence. So please do not assume. Also, the loss of knowledge when somebody leaves, particularly if they've been with your business for 10, 15, 20 years. We often think, people, what do they do? It's not until they're gone that we appreciate what they really did. And this is really quite significant when it's family members who have retired or sadly who are no longer here. But then also the significant stress and strain on your family and team trying to fill this work gap. So what type of employer are you? Do any of these comments or phrases ring true to you? I told you how to do it. What time do you call this? Who broke whatever? He's just useless. I might as well just do it myself. Well, that's not my job. I didn't see it, which is one of my personal bugbears. But these comments can be actually one of the biggest bugbears and quite commonly heard on a number of businesses. And when I speak to a lot of my clients, they say, Heather, I used to love my job. I used to love farming. It was easy. But now that the business has got bigger, it's the staff that are the problem. And I find it very daunting and very frustrating having to try and get people to get on board with where you want to be and what you want to be doing. So what I say to a number of my clients now is, as my business has grown, it started off predominantly in the dairy sector, but now it's grown to all sectors of agriculture, plus land agency, veterinary, accountancy, and NHS as well. And these traits I find are the same with everybody going forward. So what I want to ask you all to just take a moment is to think about a great boss that you have worked for. What was the skills and what was the traits and personality of that individual? What made them so great? And some of you maybe have only worked at home, but others of you, if you haven't worked away, you know, do you know anyone that's neighbours, people that you've maybe gone through college that were great leaders and great motivators and great, you know, an inspiration to you? Hopefully, you've all got something in your minds. But in my research and in my travels, when I sort of accumulated and pulled everything together, these were the sort of more common traits that I found in good bosses and in good leaders. Because to be the employer of choice, you do need to be a good leader as well. And things that came up very high were people could think positive, regardless of the pressure, the strain, the burden, and the surprises that came for their businesses. They were able to keep a positive attitude and a positive frame, and keep people with them on board. They were honest. Yes, maybe we talked about a new combine, investing in some land, investing in some new machinery, investing in some training, but maybe because of volatility, cereal prices crashing, disease, TB, we haven't been able to put that investment in. So be honest with it. And again, a number of clients say, oh, I can't tell them anything, Heather, because it'll be down the pub. But that, I guess, explains an awful lot about a culture issue that you've possibly got within your business. Good bosses can delegate. I really get quite frustrated and cross when I go to a client and they say, oh, do you know what, Heather, I just do it myself. It's so much easier because if I want it done right, I just have to go and do it myself. But that doesn't help long term. And a really, really good boss can take the time to train, to show, to do, and then to delegate. And people love being given responsibility and being able to take some initiative and to be seen to do something really well. Most people want that, not everybody. Communication, this is one of my favourites. I don't know where you guys are all tuned in from, but from Cumbria, Dumfries, and in sunny New Cumnock in Ayrshire, it was very windy. And most farmers I know, they just expect people to know what they want. They very rarely verbalise it. So they rely on telepathy. And when it's windy, telepathy just does not work. We actually have to physically verbalise the words, say what we want, and then ask people if they've understood. And, you know, it does shock me, communication in farms and in businesses. And I always like to think a really good way of observing how a business communicates is observing family moving stock and cattle. That can be a great window into their world. Other personality traits is people that can inspire you. I know my bosses, the ones that really got me, I wanted to be them. I wanted to be able to do what they did. They really saw the best in me, and they were brilliant. Another good boss can align a team, pulling people together, getting people to work together, even when they're very different. We don't need, you know, not everybody has to like each other, but to be aligned and working together is massively important. A good boss is balanced. And I do, some of my clients I work with were, I guess, bipolar. You know, they were all over the place. One minute we're going there, one minute we're going there. And this can often happen within a family when there's a number of family members that are the bosses. And, you know, it's who is the boss, who gives the instructions, and, you know, is it consistent? Great bosses give credit. The power and the feeling of being told, well done, thank you, with real, genuine and sincerity is so empowering to people. Thank you for doing that. Really appreciate it. You did a great job. Do you know what? I wasn't going to do that, but that was your idea, and I'm really, really pleased you made me do it. Full credit for that. They encourage growth. People often get worried about training and investing in members of staff in case they leave. We should never be afraid of that, because what if we don't train and invest in them and they stay? And in growing and encouraging people to develop and to challenge and to grow, you know, the great leaders surround themselves in people who are better than them. They don't try and hold them down and suppress them. Praise, again, really, really important. But mentoring. Going forward, we are going to have a problem as employees with this new millennium that's coming forward. You know, I'm quite shocked and horrified at the attitude, the expectation, the understanding and the communication skills that some people have got. And as a boss, it will be really, really frustrating. But you are going to have to mentor, support and educate these young people coming forward if you want a really good workplace. A lot of them, you know, it is even simple things like how to eat properly. I am horrified now at the amount of people that come to work with some energy drinks, sweeties and some crisps, and that's to see them through for the day. So I've seen an awful lot of companies now that they put a kitchen in place, because hangry is a real issue where people get hungry, and particularly if you're working in a job where there's maybe long hours, the weather has changed, so we've got to go and get the silage in. We're just going to go and finish doing this job, and people haven't eaten properly, and it really seriously affects their behaviour and their attention span and everything as well. And in mentoring, you know, we might have to teach them about respect, about language, about accountability and things as well. But it can be massively, massively rewarding. But it is being aware of yourself and who's the right person within your business to do that. And sometimes it's a senior member of the family or a senior member of the team that is a lot better at doing that. Another one has been fair. So many times I go to a client and they'll ask them about their staff and everything, and they'll talk about Johnny, and Johnny's this, that and the other. Oh, but Jimmy's great. And you know, you could tell by the tone and the language that there was a real favoritism for that individually. And it is really difficult, but to try and be fair is a real good skill if you can manage that one. But the traits of great bosses, they value people over money. I was just on a farm today that was moaning because the member of staff was actually, this particular member of staff was getting 30,000. That was ridiculous. I'm overpaying them. But he worked out his hours, and his son was getting £14,000. But he gets treats. What treats does he get? He gets some bags of dog food. You know, but we really do need to value people over money, because if we have not got a good team working for us, we cannot be as productive. You know, so it's how much should we and must we pay to get the right team and to retain them. We need to create great habits where we frequently are always behaving in a positive way and repetitive way. So timekeeping, manners, cleanliness, tidiness, whatever's relevant to your business. Great bosses have the courage to confront and say no when required. I am shocked at how many clients I get involved with in their businesses who are literally bullied and intimidated by their staff. They are so afraid that if they say the wrong thing, that the staff member will leave, that they let go. Shocking behaviour, shocking timekeeping, shocking standards, and the way some staff speak to their bosses is diabolical, because that is because they've been allowed to. So having the courage to confront really quickly and say, no, that is not acceptable, takes a lot of nerve, but my word, do you soon get respect. They're good communicators. They have the ability to communicate clearly and directly. Who needs to know? What do they need to know? And when do they need to know it? They are motivated and capable. They have that spring in their step, and they are able to do every single job on the farm. They are respected, and they're respectful of everyone within their business, and they are true to their work, and they are capable of leading from the front. They would not ask any of their team to do anything they wouldn't do themselves. And when it comes to the tough, dirty, hard jobs, they're in there with the sleeves rolled up as well. So for me, the best employers that have a clear vision for their business. They know where they are, they know where they want to be, and they know how they're going to get there. But most importantly, they have timelines written in there as well. They are excellent communicators. They have their vision, and it is written down, and it is shared with all those who are involved and engaged in their business. Because to have a real vision and goal where we want to be, if it's just in our heads and our minds, and a lot of farmers, when I do these workshops, I say, so have you got a 5-year plan? Have you got a goal? What's the dreams for the business? They say, yeah, it's in my head, it's in my head. There is significant evidence that if it's written down, it is 80% more likely to come true. But having it written down and then being able to verbalize it to the right people makes things come together so much better. If it's written down and in the format, it reminds people every single day. So whether it be the people at the bottom of the business, or whether people be at the senior end of the businesses, some farmers say, well, I don't want to tell them all about the finances and everything. They don't need to know that, but they do need to know the targets, the goals of things that they can influence and they can make an effect on. And also, this is important for your bank manager, your accountant, your lawyer, your land agent, your advisors, and your merchants and everything as well, because a lot of the best opportunities, the best people, the best staff, the best land and things, they're never advertised. So if you have a vision and goals, you've communicated to people, suddenly the collaboration all starts falling into hand and you get the people working with you. And this comes through quite nicely on this one. So your top team, they would know who's in your top team. So that would be your bank manager, your accountant, your consultant. They would know all your finances, all your targets, all your goals and everything, where you are now, what your cash flow and your business plan is for going forward. And then you maybe break it down to the different divisions in your team. So for me, it would be the culture, the staff, the strategy, the systems, the structure, and then into the divisions. So for a dairy guy, it would be a guy, the team that's milking the cows, looking after the cow health and everything. What do they need to know? What's their targets? What's their standards and everything that they need to be working for? What's their key performance indicators, whether it be mastitis, lameness, body condition, fertility, things like that. Then it might be the tractorman. So what's his challenges and everything going forward? The rations, the nutrition, the silage, clamp maintenance, everything else, cleaning, servicing, oiling. Then you might have young stock, and so on and so on, and the bookkeeping and everything as well. So yes, people don't have to know everything, but they do need to know the bit that they can influence and everything as well. And then for me, for people and team to really feel engaged, they need to know their roles and responsibilities and the purpose for them being involved in the organisation. And this is regardless of scale and size. And this can be broken down in depth depending on the individual's responsibilities. And it is really important for every business to clearly be able to state their purpose and to ideally have a mission, vision, and values statement. Because this explains to people, to companies, to organisations, to your suppliers and everybody, your business's reason to exist, its purpose, and it describes what it does and its overall intentions. So the mission explains the reasons company, and it also reflects the company's priorities and how it differs and how you differ from your competition. And I've got a couple of examples that I've done with clients now. Whenever I take any clients on now, we don't go any further until I've got a mission, vision and values, because otherwise, if I don't know what the company and what the owner and the employer is driving for, how does the staff members do? So these are a couple of clients I work with. Farming Company B, their success driven by simplicity. A twice-a-day milking focused on technical excellence. We are a team who work together to achieve more, feeling valued, fulfilled, and respected in their work. We progress people, we create leaders, we are creating greatness. and our target is a 15% profit on percentage of turnover. Farming Company 2 is a farming, poultry and dairy farming business focused on simplicity and excellence, embracing technology while nurturing the best out of our team in a supportive and motivating environment. Building a strong, cohesive team, achieving greater technical efficiency, driving improved profit. We are a team who feel empowered to work with confidence and the ability to proactively problem solve. And they're a team where responsibility is distributed with support. These are really empowering to people, and it can take a little bit of a work to get through it. But once you have your mission statement, so you can sum up your business in a couple of sentences, then it's be aspirational. The vision statement describes the company, how it will appear in the future once it has reached its goals. So it's a little bit aspirational and it's looking into the future. But this is all about setting the standards. And I tell you what, bank managers and investing companies love all of this, and particularly suppliers and retailers and supermarkets and things as well. Having a mission, vision and value will set you above and beyond your competition and other farmers. And the values support the company vision. They shape the culture and they reflect the company's behaviour and values. So if you have a team, and a lot of members, a lot of managers and owners now, they need to spend more time in the office, and there's nothing more annoying than always having the phone ringing. Or possibly they're away in board meetings and committees and different things. But by having clear mission and vision and values, if something happens, the staff know how to behave. Because if it's all about environability, if it's all about consumer interest, it's all about health and safety, whatever decision and action they take will reflect on their behaviours and everything as well. And I do believe cultures can change. Evolving a set of collective beliefs, values and attitudes is possible, regardless of where you are at the moment. But that is all about creating and changing culture. So you need to be, and it started by leadership, it started with you. So you need to have clear, continuous communication with regular meetings and one-to-one discussions. You need to have clear business goals, discussing and sharing them with the team. You need to set clear expectations about the roles and responsibilities and the behaviour we expect from people. And we need to increasingly involve the rest of the team in decision making. Like certain things we can't, but if it's how we're going to do this, if we're going to change some ventilation, change some floor, put a new building up, maybe buying a new piece of machinery, people feel empowered if they're involved in that decision. And then for a real change in culture and to get that to be an employer of choice, it's showing trust by delegating responsibility. But why do people leave, and what are people's expectations in a job? And if we use like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I think it's really quite powerful. The very basic need of human life is air, food, drink, shelter, warmth, sex and sleep. And some of my clients do say that they fail at the very first basic step. After that, society and people needs protection. We need security, we need order, we need law, limits and stability. People do need structure and boundaries and some clear direction of where they're going. Next in order is belongingness and love. We underestimate the amazing culture and environment that farming is. The feeling of being a family, of affection, relationships, and part of a working group is massively empowering. Then as we're getting higher up the needs of society, it's actually self-esteem. People really want to see achievement, they want status, they want responsibility, and their reputation becomes more and more important. And then on top of that is personal growth and fulfillment. So if you can look at your business structure and think, do we provide all of this for our staff and our family and people in our business? Because if people are starting to talk about money, about conditions, It's something has been missing in this hierarchy of needs, because generally most people do not go to work simply for the money. It is important, but actually feeling like belonging, being part of something, having some order and some guidance and some structure, and then feeling fulfillment and value tends to be the main things that people go to work for. So how can you move from being the employer with staff problems and issues to being the employer of choice? And I love this. Once you know where you're going, you need to ensure that you have the right team around you. For many people, the word recruitment puts the fear of God into people. And hence why I'm quite shocked at how many farming clients and businesses I work with are muddling along with toxic bad apples in their workforce, because they tell me they're afraid of trying to replace them. What if they leave? We'll be in an even worse mess. But hey, if they stay in the team, you are missing an amazing opportunity of getting someone better in. And having bad apples, people that do not fit the culture, the beliefs and the values of the company, can really lead to negative morale, poor productive and workplace, and actually people dreading going to work as well. And it can set a real negative precedent in there. So when I go into business, I tend to look at cash, and we'll explain cash on the next slide. It's knowledge, attitude, skills and habits. But we really need to assess, what is your current business needs? So on a lot of my clients, I'll do a bit of a SWOT, looking at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats. So we've looked at all of this, what the business needs, and we've worked out there's a job description coming up. And a lot of farmers, you know, they put a very vague job description out there. That is error number 2. You really need to be very clear about what you're looking for. And, you know, sometimes whenever I do go into business, I always say, you know, it could go backwards before it goes forwards, and people may leave. But generally, my experience is the right people leave the business, and it's like a massive relief. The house of cards have not fallen in. So we've got this vacancy, and we've worked out the job description by looking at the current business needs and everything that's there. Where do we advertise? And once you know where to advertise in your marketplace, so look, if you're looking for somewhere with a fairly low skill gap, you know, someone to drive tractors, someone new into the business, you'd advertise in that marketplace. You're not going to put £1,000 advert in. So you'd look at Facebook, Gumtree, maybe the local garage, local shop, young farmers clubs, colleges and schools. And these are all great for getting young people introduced to your business. But word of caution, what reputation do you and your farm have in the local area? Ensure every day that you work hard to build a positive brand and reputation. If the position that's coming up is more senior and management or supervisory, ensure that you have the right package to complement this. Yes, many people are motivated and require money, but not everybody is driven by a big salary. Often it's working in conditions, working environment, it can be time off, it can be recognition, or it can be part of feeling something of greater instead of bonuses, increased salary. Whenever you are looking and you've got your member of staff, you've gone through the interview process, please, please, please check references. Check, check, check again. Google the individual's name, check their social media account. That can be fascinating and quite enlightening into the behaviour, the language, and also who they associate themselves with. Do your research. Don't just go with the references that they've submitted. Look at who else worked on the farm, any suppliers, the vet, contractors, delivery people. What were the individuals like? What was the behaviour? And also go beyond the references. If you know the work for somebody else, ask that person. And sometimes asking a previous employer if they were to come back, would you employ them again, can be quite enlightening. But do your research. And let's be honest, if they're any good, they will be doing the research on you. So please look at your own reputation and credibility as well. And some employers have had to do an awful lot of changing because they've maybe taken assumptions that they would always be able to get people. But as I've said right at the beginning, we're in a very competitive marketplace. And this is, if this is out with your skill set, you know, there are agencies and organisations to help deal with this as well. So,
Heather, can I start you there with a question?
Yeah.
It's one that's come in about, you mentioned a couple of slides ago that most people get up to work because they love the job, and it's not all money driven. What's your view on financial staff incentives, such as bonuses? Does that create a relationship that's too dependent on finances?
Some people have bonuses that seem to work very well. Personally, I'm not a big fan of work-related bonuses because they can often have hidden consequences and can change the focus of the work, and it can end up being quite demotivating or quite costly to the business. So to find out what motivates your members of staff, I think you need to look at everybody as an individual. Some people, it's time off. Some people, it's just been recognised and praised and everything as well. Other people, it's clothing. Some people, it's training. You know, a lot of the Eastern European people that I have employed on farms, they're desperate to grow and develop their skill set and everything as well. So for them, going on some training courses and getting certificates for that means an awful lot. Other people, it might be a new kitchen or bathroom in the house. It really is very much bespoke to individuals. Does that help? Yeah. And so, you know, looking back at cash, this was a structure that I saw in Australia, and it's knowing what knowledge, attitudes and skills and habits do you need to have in your business going forward. Once you know where you're going, you need to ensure that you have the right team with you, and cash is a great way to break this down. What knowledge and experiences do you currently have in your team? And do we actually know the full knowledge and experience of the people that we have working with us, particularly with a lot of foreign employed labour? Some of them are massively skilled and they've been brought on to do a fairly menial job. So do we know all the aspirations and the skill sets within the team? And then identify where the skill gaps are, particularly if you've got maybe a succession issue coming through the business, where you've maybe got a senior, quite older workforce. How do we make sure that we don't lose that knowledge with those individuals, and we make sure that we get people coming up quite quickly? But also, a lot of managers and owners now are stepping up and they're needing people to take over more responsibility from them. The other one is attitude. What attitude do you require for your farm and your business? And some people want people just to do the job and to get on. Other people, it's very much about being courteous, engaging the community, the environment and everything as well. So, you know, thinking about that work smart attitude that you need. The skill sets, what skills do you need to be able to do your job well? And where are the gaps within the business as well? And then what habits do you and your team need to develop in order to reach and maintain your goals and ambitions? And also, you know, for some people who may be taking over from a new, you know, from an existing member of staff, what did they do routinely that we didn't think about, that was just, as we say, it was just a habit? Just lost Richard.
Oh, no. Can you hear me, Heather?
So then we've got this, we've done the recruitment, we've managed to get a great member of staff. What happens then? And have you set sufficient time aside to allow for a thorough induction program into your business? And as mentioned earlier, do not assume just because they've come with a glowing reference and lots of experience, it doesn't mean that they understand your business and the way that you want to have your herd milked or your land managed. Every farm is completely individual. And having this time to do a real thorough introduction should be seen as insurance. Please do not cut corners on it. And with a number of my clients now, we're actually building up a how-to manual, how to run this business, and breaking it down into sections so that people then have a manual, because we don't remember everything. We have other stuff going on and people do forget. Having a manual and having a farm handbook also empowers and enables people to take initiatives, and it reduces all of those annoying questions. Sorry, sir, can I just ask, can I just double check? Because these questions interrupt and steal time from your day. Also, having a manual ensures that everyone is introduced to the working system with a farm map and everything as well. But another key thing to do is make sure any new member of staff gets introduced to everybody else who works on the farm. Allow them to have some time shadowing every member of staff as well. And to see, you know, just to do some shadowing, show, do and review. And then give them some time with yourself, and then go back afterwards once they've been in the job for a wee while and check that they're comfortable with how they're doing and that they know where everything is. But also significant time should be spent, because farming is one of the most dangerous industries we've got, to explain the health and safety issues and that policy on your business. So this is just coming back to the question you just asked, Richard. So keeping employees motivated, you know, offer flexible benefits. And for many people, they want opportunities, not money. And actually recognition and praise is so much more important often than money. But it depends. You know, some people are very young in their career, they've maybe bought a car, they've maybe got a house, they've maybe got a young family, and having some extra cash coming into their pockets is really, really important. Whereas for other people, it might be a change in hours and being able to finish at 5 o'clock to be able to get to pick their children up to go to sports things as well. And for other people, do you know, they don't really want, it's just been about acknowledged, been recognised and been part of a team. I've got other people that having the appropriate and safety clothing is really, really important. I had one farmer I was working with, and he has an employment of over 20 staff, and he said, do I have to put a canteen in? Should I do this, that and the other? What they wanted was a porter cabin so that they could come in, leave their the motorbike clothes and everything and their clean shoes in the porter cabin, put on their workwear, their wellies and everything, the boiler suits, the wetwear and everything, and go to work. And that there was a washing machine and everything at work, so they didn't take their dirty clothes home. And I'm finding that on every sector that this is really, really important. Being able to come in, and this is what we see in hospitals, pigs and poultry, you know, there would be a change in unit and everyone leaves and goes home. They want the cars smelling clean and fresh as well. But it's even things like having a canteen and a staff room where people can go in, sit down, have a cup of tea and coffee. Many people now working on farms and businesses, they're actually quite lonely, that they maybe don't have family and everything there. So having a little kitchenette where there's some toast, some cereal, there's a toasted sandwich maker, there's a microwave, so they can have a meal and sit and talk and have team meetings and things can be really important. But a toilet is really also of value to an awful lot of people as well. So retain staff, be clear on expectations. Every member of staff and family should have their own job description, a current and up-to-date employment contract. I am shocked and appalled at how many businesses do not have job descriptions and employment contracts. This is base one, guys. You must get this in order. There is loads of templates out there to help you on the AHDB website, Farm Connect, Farm Mentor. There is dozens out there. There is no excuse not to have this done. An employment contract that clearly sets out what is expected of them and to the standard that is demanded. The time in setting this clearly and professionally in place will pay off. But also consider how you can offer a career progression ladder, as many employees are keen to grow and learn and to be able to take on more responsibilities. This isn't for everybody. Some people basically just want to be able to turn up to work, do the job well, get paid and go home and to be able to switch off. But it is your job as an employer to mentor and grow and develop your people to make them better farmers. And this is an example of an employment progression ladder that I did with one of my clients. Clearly this is dairy. But you can do it with all of your businesses, because some people they sort of think, well, why should I work for you? That there seems to be like a top ladder that they're not going to be able to progress anymore. But with every job, there is a way of breaking it down and saying, right, well, if we can get this done, you can go up to this and we'll get you trained and we can take on more roles and responsibility. But having divisions within a business also gives accountability, because we do have some businesses where, well, I want everybody to do everything, but that's absolutely fine. But if everybody does everything, nobody's in charge of anything. So having some accountability and breaking your business down into divisions can also work very well as well. Communication, team meetings. Some people love these, some people hate them. But it can seem so simple and so obvious. But when we look at some farmers, I call it their resting face. A lot of farmers, when they come to you to talk to their staff, they can actually look very angry and quite defensive and quite intimidating. I give them the benefit of the doubt and call this their resting faces or their thinking faces, because a lot of people, you're thinking about loads and loads of different things, and when you go to see a member of staff, you give them their instruction and you think, yeah, great, that's them told, I can go and think about something else. But for that member of staff, it's probably felt like a bit like a bollocking, excuse me, and been like a machine gun fire of action points and I've done wrong, I've done bad. How you communicate to your people is so, so important. Taking time to stop and to speak to people saves time long term. Sure, do review. But to smile, to feel open and to be warm is massively important as well. So when you're asking someone to do a job, show them how it should be done. Ask them to demonstrate that they've understood it, and to ensure that you've given them all the correct tools, direction and timescale to complete the job. Have you also given them a supply of diagrams, written instructions and a checklist? Give your employees every opportunity to succeed. If the job is carried out well, praise them. But team meetings are a great way of bringing people up to date and letting them know what's happening, what's going on and who's doing what. And just a 10-minute touch base in the morning is often all it needs. But some people feel very uncomfortable doing that, and a lot of farming staff don't really like people. So jumping in the pickup, milking with them, sitting alongside them in the tractor, but whatever, please make sure that you take time to speak to your people, to keep them involved, because people like to know what is happening so they can prep and prepare in advance as well. If you're going to have big meetings, book them in advance, put an agenda out so people can plan and prepare. But also, this is a great opportunity to encourage people to come up with solutions and ideas about problems. How would they fix it and what could they do going forward? And I love this slide. People feel happier if they know and understand clearly what is expected of them, if they have the necessary skills to act in the way that is required. But most importantly, the way things get done around here, enforce and encourage me. I love the way it's done, the mentality, the reputation, the standards, the safety, the security, the protocols, procedures. But most importantly, I see others, particularly those in senior positions, acting in the same way. It's no good telling someone to go and do something if you do it differently when you do it. So you need to be setting a consistent role, an example, and everybody that's senior needs to be doing that, which I recognise when you're working with families can actually prove quite difficult and challenging at times. So for me, a simple way of putting that in place is the 1-minute manager. And I use this with a lot of my clients. So when we go, we want to start. So take for tomorrow at the start. Have we got clear goals of where the business is going? Have we clarified the standards? Because what is a good standard to one business is very different to others. And then have we looked at how we review the process? Because we must always review what we do, and we don't take for granted it's done, because often there's everything's going fine. We're assuming everything's going great until there's a problem. And then we suddenly realize, well, how long have we been doing this way? We should never have been doing it that way. So it's about having some structures and disciplines in place with your business. So set a goals, agree standards and clarify them, and then specify the review process. And who is going to do that? The MBW is managing by walking around. As an employer of choice, you are able to step out of the business. You are not always in the business. And by managing by walking around, you are able to see opportunities to praise. Opportunities to see, this is brilliant, well done, this has gone really well. Yes, you might say it's their job, it's expected, it should be like that anyway. But actually, don't assume that. Praise, recognition, acknowledge. Be prompt, be specific, and be sincere. Well done, that was great. Thank you, really appreciate it. What made you think that? That was genius, absolutely brilliant. What a difference that's made. Come on, let's go and have a beer. But if when you're walking around the standards and goals are not as you wish, deal with it promptly and deal with it privately and be emotionally neutral. Don't make it about the person, just keep it to the problem and be very, very aware of the hate box. If you are in the hate box, it is very difficult to get out. But if you've got a member of your team who is in a hate box, it is very difficult to come out of that as well. So it is to really build a team of pride and respect with strong culture and vision. You need to, as an employer of choice, you need to address quickly and promptly when people are not doing things to standard. But you need to also look in the mirror. Have you given them every opportunity to succeed? Was all of the tools there? Was all of the training there? And were you absolutely clear in every step of the process that you expected to be done? And then take some accountability, because if they didn't have all of that information, the reason for failure stands at your door. Another great way is offering progression and training for the employers. Great feedback from discussion groups, not only for the manager and the owner, but for the team and the staff as well. Encouraging your team to get involved in discussion groups or bringing discussion groups to your business, I tend to find massively rewarding, and you see a real lift and upbeat of morale and motivation. Look at what training courses are available. And again, sometimes I hear, oh, Heather, you know, I've sent staff on loads of courses and then they leave and it's a massive cost to me. There's now ways that you can say in the performance review, look, I'm going to send you on the spraying course, I'm going to send you on whatever course. And if you're, you know, over 3 years, the cost of that course is written off. If you leave within a period, within that 3 years, there'll be a percentage of that cost will have to come out of the cost and will come out of your final salary. And you know what, most employees, if this is all up front, it's in the job description, it's in an employment contract, think brilliant. Do you know what, yeah, I need to do this. And if I do need to leave for whatever reason, it's my personal development, I'll take that personal cost. So it really does help. And that having an annual review is also really important. Annual appraisals offers yourself and the team the opportunity to discuss what is going well and also possibly not going so well. And this is just some simple ones. There's loads on different websites, but it's able to ask what's going well, what's not going so well, what opportunities have we got, what do you aspire to be, what's your aspirations and intentions. And look at opportunities to get you involved, your team involved in, you know, looking at areas that the business can grow, and also potential concerns and issues within the business. And in the performance review, you know, giving people titles of health and safety, first aid officer, you know, there's so many other things as well that are really important. And there's a number of continual professional development organisations out there. It's a formal record of training. Dairyco has one, but there's a number of serial ones and everything as well. It shows a proof of competence and expertise within your business, like bank managers and financiers and milk companies and processors and supermarkets and retailers. They love this. This shows you are above the average farmer. This is getting you to gold standard. It's also proof that you and your business are committed to learning and professionalism. And it shows with assurance schemes and professionals and landlords that there's a real competence in your business. And like I say, a lot of students and workers really love this. online CV that is showing their development. So kind of get into summary now. For me to be the employer of choice and to move up to be gold standard and to try and manage and maintain and motivate your team, make time for people. That is one thing I consistently hear, and I try and encourage my owners and managers to have a 80-20 rule. Only plan 80% of your day and 80% of your workload. So many farmers now and people, we've got into this rat race of business. Everyone is crazy, crazy busy. We've got so much to do. There's such pressure and stress on everybody that when we set our lists and goals, we are setting ourselves to fail. There is no way, there is only 24 hours in the day, and we cannot be effective if we keep working at that pace. So I say to my clients, plan 80% of your day. And think about what has to be done in that day and take time to prep and to think. Because when you think about it, so much time is wasted running around, fetching, carrying, dead times, time stealers with reps, mobile phones, things breaking, something's not where it was meant to be. But if you plan it in advance, that time is a lot more effective. But also it gives you an extra 20% of time to be able to speak, to be able to think, to be able to deal with problems, to be able to deal with those surprises. And staff really value time with their boss where they have their full attention. Again, everybody should be having clear vision, goals and targets, personally and for your business, and also asking your staff what are their vision and goals as well. Employers must have employment contracts and job descriptions with full roles and responsibilities and their individual targets and key performance indicators that they can influence and make a difference to your business. Really encourage team, family and staff meetings, again, where we talk about protocols and procedures, how things are going, how things are doing. Whiteboards. I should be on commission for them. I would have whiteboards everywhere in the staff office, the weekly to-do, the shopping list, breakages, repairs, issues to come up at the next meeting. And one I absolutely love is 10-minute jobs. If someone's got 10 minutes to do, what are the key things you want them spending that 10 minutes doing? A diary, really important as well, and a calendar. Get those holidays marked up and on the board, and encourage everybody to have at least half of their holidays booked in and taken, in the first 6 months. It is really important. People work hard, they need to take time off. And I'm really encouraging people now to try and encourage them to take 2 weeks off at once. They don't need to go away, but to have time with their family and stuff as well. And it also allows people to sort of plan in advance with seasons and busy times on the business. Make sure that ongoing and documented training and development, bring in outside advisors and consultants as well. A lot of training and development can be done in-house. It doesn't have to be done going away to courses. But most important, to be a great employer of choice is to know when to delegate. Know your skill set, know your weaknesses, know your strengths, and know when to allow and grow and develop others to take on. And finally, job clarification. Everybody should know their priority goals and priority areas, but look at that mirror. What will improve you and what will improve your management? A lot of you are involved in discussion groups and different things. Bring your colleagues in, bring someone in from the outside, because often when we're working and we're involved in the business, we don't always see what's in front of us. So can systems be better? Have you got written protocols and procedures? And are your performance measurement and reward systems effective? Do you discuss issues with your staff? Feeling empowered, involved and motivated, if we look at the Maslow's hierarchy, is all part of that. And can the structure be better? Do we need to maybe break things down so people have clear roles of authority and responsibility? And then that we all come back together and share that workload? And also, is your leadership style appropriate to the work that needs to be done? Sometimes just telling isn't the most motivating, but if it's an emergency and it's a crisis, people you don't want a discussion and a debate. It's get there, get that sorted and do this. But someone that's always stressed or anxious or telling and dominant, you know, is that your personality style? Does that have to be the way it's been? Or could you be more involving? But just think if you were an inspiring boss, you were that role model for your team. And that can be developed. Can team culture be created, having an environment where we have fun? Who stole the fun out of life? You know, having an environment where people work hard, but they also play. They enjoy coming in, they enjoy the banter, they enjoy the chat, and they feel and care about the well-being of people in their team. And taking that to knowing your team is hugely, hugely important. Knowing your individual members of staff, their family, their interests, their hobbies, they're going on holidays, you know, what issues are going on in their personal life is so important. Because regardless of how much we love our job, whatever is happening in our private life, in our home life, it is very hard not to bring that to work. So do you know your people, and do you take an involvement in their families and everything as well? Is the control of quality and assertiveness in your business, you know, are you the boss? And are you checking that the work is done right? And are you constructively assertive when needed? And do staff know as much as they need to know about the strategic developments of the business going forward? But one thing, you know, again, it does come back to the mirror. To senior staff, including yourself, act as good role models and as mentors. And on that note, thank you for listening. But for me, you know, life is all about us. You're either covering it, laughing it off, kicking it, kissing it, busting it, or trying to get a piece of it. Or often, if we're honest, many of us sometimes behave like one, or maybe you live with one. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you very much, Heather. I'm not sure if we can hear each other. Can you hear me? No, you can't. Right. On that note, we have got a couple of questions, and we can answer them afterwards. But all that leaves me to do is to close tonight's webinar. We've gone slightly over time, so it's probably due anyway. The next webinar is going to be on the 24th of April 2018 at 7 p.m. again. We're going to be joined by Philip Dolbear, who's my colleague in the Southwest. Philip is an ex-bank manager at HSBC. Philip will also be joined by Hereford monitor farmer Martin Williams. We'll be looking at the kind of the tools and the business analysis that you can do to take your business a step ahead of the bank manager. So we'll be using Martin's kind of real life figures as a bit of an example for us to do that. All I've got to do now is thank my colleague Elena. She's been working hard to host this webinar for us tonight. It will be recorded and uploaded onto the AHDB YouTube channel. So if you type into Google AHDB YouTube, all the slides and the recording will be up on the site afterwards. I don't think she can hear me, but I'm going to thank Heather anyway. I've had a really thought-provoking and an excellent webinar. If you have any suggestions or feedback on tonight's webinar, or suggestions of what we can be doing going forward, please don't hesitate to contact me. You should have, if you're attending this webinar, you should have been on the main invite list that came from myself. Finally, Heather mentioned the importance of CPD programs such as Dairy Pro, Basis, Neroso. If you would like to claim any points, they have been registered for. Again, please email me your Basis, Neroso, or Dairy Pro details, your name and your date of birth, and the registration number. Anyway, thank you very much. Wishing you all a good evening, and I hope you found it a useful evening and thought-provoking. And see you all next time on the 24th of April. Thank you. Bye-bye.